Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in and welcome to our showcase session. I hope everyone is safe and doing well. Today, we are going to showcase a commercial software quality governance platform called Sealights that can help you to transform your conventional or traditional quality management system to a future-ready and intelligent quality engineering process. With DevOps, a lot of things have changed. The work in progress undergoes continuous deployment, continuous testing, and so on. And if we look at the QA, the quality part of DevOps, I'm referring to the tools that are responsible for the overall quality of the product, like functional testing, performance testing, security testing, or even static code analysis tools. They generate a lot of data as they continuously do their tasks. For example, continuous testing, continuous performance testing, continuous security testing, and so on. They generate a lot of data, and this data can be captured and fed into a tool like Sealights that can generate persona-specific dashboards in order to help you with the quality risk predictions for your product. And over a period of time, with help of AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, the process can be continuously matured and improved in order to generate more and more defect-free and a good quality product in the market. Without taking much time, let's go ahead and start the discussion. We have Scott and Jason from Sealights team. I would let Scott to kick off the discussion. Hey, Scott, welcome again. Why don't you tell something about you and give a quick overview on Sealights?
Sure. Yeah, thank you. So as you mentioned, right, my name is Scott Eloof. I'm one of the director of sales here with Sealights. Been at Sealights since about February. Pretty familiar with the DevOps space. I've been in security before, but yeah, looking forward to working with you guys today. But I'll go ahead and share my screen real quick, and we'll get started. All right, you guys can see my screen, okay, right?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So a little bit on Sealights, right? So basically, we provide a ton of analytics today, right? We're a platform that is helping companies automatically identify and analyze and really communicate every perceivable risk, quality risk across their entire delivery pipeline. So we're continuously collecting data from all stages within their SDLC. And so with Sealights as enterprise software, our teams the teams are able to help mitigate quality risk by using Sealights, helping focusing their testing efforts where it matters, helping them to protect really the integrity of production, right? And so in a world of digital transformation and DevOps and cloud and everyone going through these different transformations, right? Everyone wants to get software out the door as fast as they can. They want to be able to get it to their customers as fast as possible. And a lot of times they're improving these processes and technologies, right? But because most organizations are moving so quickly, they tend to lose that visibility. And so it used to be easy back in the days of when people were doing things manual and releasing, not near as often as they are today. But now that organizations are moving so much faster, they want to be able to release much more often. And so what you need to do is evolve and align more with the way that you're working today. And so the old ways of managing quality really are no longer fit for purpose, right? It's critical today that organizations are becoming agile. They need to be able to deliver with speed without reducing quality. And that's what Sealights is here to do, is provide you really with the speed and quality at the same time. And so when we talk about software quality governance, right, it's the only platform today that can provide full forensic traceability of software changes at scale, all the way from planning to production, while identifying every quality risk related to every single change. And so as organizations make their shifts to digital transformations inside of their different processes and technologies, companies still lack quality, right? So being able to move fast and getting away from that slow and manual and waterfall processes is key. And so with our software quality governance, we want to align to organizations' businesses to help them deliver much quicker while reducing their quality risks. And so I'll cover a little bit on our platform, and then of course Jason will take over to do more of a technical demo and deep dive on this. But our platform today consists of 3 different areas of focus, right? The first one being analytics. And so our analytics piece is really a way to give organizations true visibility into all different types of test type, taking away the guesswork on software quality, helping to make data-driven decisions about every single release. And so our analytics piece has a 360-degree forensic test coverage And so that's dynamic code coverage and application runtime for every single testing layer. Most people today are familiar with being able to run testing and be able to get understanding of coverage on unit testing, right? Sealights takes it much further. Sealights is here not only to cover just your unit testing, but we're there to really cover any type of testing, whether it's automation testing, manual testing, API testing, UI, performance, you name it, right? Pretty much anything, pretty much everything from the back end to the front end. And so with this, right, we want to provide organizations with a lot of information and baseline so that they can actually understand what is being covered within their existing test, helping to give them a good insight on what, where their gaps are based off of their code changes. The other area is on quality risk prioritization, right? So what we want to do is help an organization take the data of their real usage from production so that they can actually better prioritize their quality risks. So it's given them insight on which production code has actually been tested before it hits production. And so this is what we see is helping to address the technical debt within product applications. The next area of focus is intelligence, right? So we want to help to focus testing efforts where it matters, helping ultimately analyze the risk of every single change in every build in real time. And so with our quality risk intelligence, what we're doing is we're collecting millions of data points, and we're getting these data points out to the correct individuals at the right time within the pipeline that they own. And so we do this by generating pull requests. So we have a feature where we can generate pull requests where we can give you visibility prior to a merge, helping you understand what risk is actually being applied to that master. And so this is effectively going to show you where all of your code changes are being made, right? So when we talk about the shifting left motion, right? Everybody wants to shift left today. They need to be able to catch things much earlier in the process, right? Preventing any type of errors in the, down the line. They want to be able to save money, et cetera, right? And so when we talk about shifting left, we're helping to do this by having quality built in rather than defects being tested later in the life cycle. So we want to catch that much earlier. The other area is around test quality intelligence. So this is the way that we would allow you to get visibility into the efficiency and effectiveness of tests. And so this is really a great way to understand what is actually being covered within a sprint. So as organizations are having their sprint cycles, whether they're 2-3 week sprint cycles, you need to be able to have tons of different data and builds and tests, and you want to be able to understand all of that within a given date range, right? Ultimately, you want to be able to understand if you can release to production with confidence or not. And so what this does is it helps you to identify the specific gaps as far as your testing goes after all of those different runs and builds inside of a sprint, helping to identify where those gaps are. And so, for example, we do have customers today that strictly use us for sprint planning because they need to be able to aggregate their data over a long period of time to help them understand and answer the question of, do I have too many tests? Do I have too few tests? What do I actually have that's being tested that should be tested? And so that's our main area of the intelligence side. And then as we move on to our last piece of what we call control, we're really there to enforce software quality and compliance within every step of the pipeline. So what Sealights does is we're analyzing quality risks for every change, and we're scoring them against quality policies. So within Sealights, we can prevent really full promotion of quality risks at every stage within a pipeline. And so the ultimate aim here, right, is to prevent escaping defects and help really protect that integrity of your production. And then finally, we have what we call our risk-based test execution. So risk-based testing, right? Everyone wants to do it today. They want to make sure they're testing the right stuff. And so this is really a tool that we have that's helping organizations improve their velocity and productivity by reducing build cycles. And so within Sealights, by understanding the alignment between our lines of code and test executions, Sealights actually has an AI and machine learning capability that can help identify the most appropriate subset of tests to be run for every software change. And so what we've seen within a lot of our customers is we've been able to significantly reduce the number of tests that are being executed. So this can lead to somewhere around a 90+% reduction in test execution, meaning more test cycles can actually be ran within a certain change period. And so within this, right, we want to ultimately improve the quality of software being delivered to production. With all this being said, right, this is what we do really to combine all of our full key capabilities into a single platform. And so this is what we do to provide really that full end-to-end software quality governance. I've got a couple other things. Jason's going to cover most of this, right, on how it works and where it fits in today. But today, right, it's a cloud-based platform. It's a SaaS-based application. And with that, we have two different type of agents that are being installed. So these install agents, they actually will sit on-prem, and then they push out encrypted metadata up to the cloud within AWS. So from a security perspective, right, we like to make it known that we are very security conscious. We don't touch your source code. We have no access to test data, personal information, et cetera. So it's very secure. Ultimately, the way that our tool works today is, like I said, we have two different agents. The first agent being a build scanner. So the build scanner is something that's going to sit into a build environment, an application environment. So being something like your build server, your Jenkins, TeamCity, Circle, whatever it might be. And so every time you go to trigger a build and every time a build is actually being executed, Sealights actually will come in and scan the binary or the bytecode, which is then extracting that metadata up to the cloud. And so within this, right, we want to be able to understand the code structure, how many methods, how many branches, and how many lines are actually made up of your entire code base. Once the build scanner is configured, we then have what we call our test listener. The test listener is ultimately a list of libraries that you're adding to deployment scripts. And so it's not uncommon to have in every testing stage a unique Sealights test listener. And so this is something that when you trigger your test to run, we then come up alongside of it and follow into the actual footprints of those tests in application runtime. And so through our cloud and through our UI, we're aggregating all of these metrics across all of the testing stages and across all of your different applications and services. And so ultimately, this is what we do to identify which tests need to be ran, which ones are relevant, and where you have critical gaps. And so that is Sealights in a nutshell, right? I'm going to stop the screen share at this point and give the reins to Jason to follow up and do more of a technical demo on this. But appreciate the time today, and like I said, looking forward to speaking with further people in the future.
Thank you, Scott, so much. So thank you for a nice intro. So looks like you don't let organizations lose any data that they collect over a period of their software development life cycle, and give the the predictability or the data analytics capability to that data to identify the risks and make some meaningful decisions to continually improve the health of the products.
That's exactly right. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I mean, a lot of times, right, so many organizations today run into a scenario where they're testing anything and everything, right? And so with that can come, defects, right? And so a lot of times you're seeing organizations today where they're testing so much stuff, right? They're not sure if they're testing the right stuff, but then they're also introducing risks such as defects. On top of that, a lot of times organizations are seeing defects get put all the way into production, right? And so what better way, than to use something like Sealights, where you can totally remove that risk by helping you identify your defects much earlier on in the process, ultimately limiting any type of quality risk for an organization.
Yep, agreed. Thank you so much, Scott.
Absolutely, thank you.
Sure. All right, so let's go to Jason. Jason, over to you.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, I'm Jason Wiles, been with Sealights for almost 5 years now. I'm the Chief Solution Architect here, one of the leading members of the customer success team, helping our customers improve their quality and use Sealights, getting value from it. Let me know when you can see the dashboard.
Yes, we can see your screen. Thank you.
Okay, so this is the Sealights dashboard. This is actually our staging environment, which our developers use on a daily basis. What Sealights is doing, as Scott mentioned, we're capturing all the builds of your components. We have approximately 30 microservices that we're reporting. Sealights can capture any type of component, whether it's microservices or whether the big monolithic applications or any combination in between. For each one of the components, we capture its data like unit tests, which are being run, similar to other tools out there, where we're capturing the overall coverage. Beyond that, we're also monitoring the code changes and getting their modified coverage. But more importantly, what we're doing is that we're capturing the data on the end-to-end level, meaning that we're taking all those components, we can combine them all into one big lab, one group of all those components building up the entire application, and then capture both the code changes and the coverage for any test stage running against the entire group of components, and provide you the quality risks that we're talking about. The quality risks are the modified code changes and whether they're being tested or not. So if I look in the history, we can see every single build is being reported to us. For every single build, we can get the details of how much overall coverage there was, and more importantly, how much modified coverage there was, and if there were any quality risks. If you identify quality risks, you come in and you use this as your go, no-go platform, meaning for a build, you're understanding exactly what's going on, where you have managed to test and where you haven't managed to test, and whether you want to progress or you want to fail this build. You can set up quality gates. The quality gates will be defined by the rules that you want to set up. For instance, over here, we're testing if the modified coverage is above 75%. Because it is not, this specific build was failed. If I want to look at the data, I can, of course, drill down into the coverage report. I can see which areas of code for the various microservices. So these are the 3 out of the 30 microservices that were modified. I can see the areas of code that were modified, and I can see whether our tests tested those areas or not. Okay, drilling down all the way to the method level. Sealights receives metadata from your systems. We do not receive the actual source code or the bytecode, so we have down to the method level information, and then you can see in each test stage whether it is covered or not. For further details, you can go to GitHub, in our case, or any other source control system like Bitbucket or GitLab, and you can see the information overlaid by our Chrome extension on top of the source control itself. Okay. Beyond that, if you want to see an overall picture, instead of just looking at the modified, we can look at the overall. You can see all the different microservices, whether they were covered or not in the different areas, and what exactly was going on. Use this, as mentioned, to decide whether this release is of good enough quality to put out and progress into production. Now, capturing the data per build is good for that go, no go decision, but you now want to plan things going ahead for the future. You want to plan your sprints, where you want to add more tests, where you might be testing too much, and so on. And there are also times where your tests might be taking a long time and spreading over multiple builds. For instance, when running manual tests, you won't be running them all against one specific build. So you want to get a clear picture over a set of builds, what the quality looks like. For that, we have our TGA report. So our TGA report aggregates all the code changes over a period of time. Here we can see, for instance, about a month of data over all the builds that were run during that time, aggregating all the coverage captured by all the tests. So even if you're not running all your tests on every single build, you get a full picture over that time over here. And this can be set to your sprint. It could be set to any period of time that you want to be looking at. And then you can see all the untested methods. Okay, so we can see here, for instance, that we have approximately 498 modified methods. Out of them, 98 were not tested. So this is exactly where I, as an agile team, would decide where to add more tests. I'll drill down into this code. I'll look at the different areas that are being modified. I can see the contributors. So I can consult with them, plan which tests I want to write. So I'm no longer guessing where to add more tests. I am creating tests based on the areas that are actually modified and not tested. The following sprint, I can come back and I can see whether I've really improved, increased the quality, cover those areas which I need to cover. As Scott also mentioned, we shift our analysis left into the pull request itself. So on the dashboard, what you're seeing are the builds themselves and the TGA report after they've been merged into master, but Sealights can look at the data also on the pull request level. So if we come to one of our components, we can come to the pull requests that are currently running, and we can see that Sealights is providing our developers insights on the pull request level, even before they're being merged into the master branch, about the untested code changes. It's comparing the code between the pull request and the target branch. Drilling into the pull request, the developer can come and look at the files changed. Once again, our Chrome extension will provide an overlay and show the engineer exactly where in the code there are areas of code which are untested. Okay, so now they can go ahead in the pull request before merging into master, increase the quality, add the needed tests, and make sure nothing that is untested is getting into the pipeline and then later on deployed into production. All these areas have been talking about your current quality, monitoring, the quality that's going on. The next area that we have is our TAA. And that's what Scott mentioned, in order to increase the speed and your testing cycles. Again, the faster we can get the feedback to the developers, the faster they can solve issues and get the turnaround quickly. The TIA, because we're monitoring the code changes and because we're monitoring the tests themselves, we understand each test, which area of code it is hitting. And then when a new build comes in and we detect code changes, we can recommend which tests need to run based on the history. So if your developer goes ahead and changes just one line of code, there's no need to run 4 hours worth of tests. All you need to do is run the tests that previously tested that one line of code. We can see that, for instance, over here. We in Sealights use it as well. So we have our release application, that big application with all the microservices. We've got our sanity integration test phase. Drilling into that, we can see each build that was reported to us, how much was saved. Okay, so we can see, for instance, over here, 84% was reduced in this build. Going into it, I can see the code changes that were made. I can see the tests that were registered, that Sealights knows tested this line of code previously. Sealights will go ahead and automatically instruct your test runner to skip the tests that do not need to run. Okay, so we're going to shorten the test cycles, shift the information back to the developers as quickly as possible so they can get a turnaround as quickly as possible, increasing your development life cycle. That's in general the drill down into the Sealights dashboard.
Jason, thank you so much for such a nice overview on the platform. So it looks like, it helps in pinpointing where, the issue is from the code side and anywhere in the application build side. And people can go and look into that issue and quickly resolve so that, it adds to the overall velocity of the release and to the build process. Nice, summary there. Thank you, Jason. So now the question comes, like many people have already invested or they have been maintaining their old conventional quality management systems, right? They are collecting some data, not like, as intelligently the way you showcased. But if we look at the traditional metrics data or the KPI data from our quality management system, for example, let's say defect density or any code review issues and things like that, I think today we have to review that manually and take decisions by the quality managers or the project managers. They will look at the data and they will take a decision on how to improve that in future, like, preventive and corrective actions should be taken care of to, take care of the continuous improvement of the process. But the question is, like, what you recommend so that people can, start thinking of migrating or transitioning from that old quality management system to such an intelligent analytics or, predictive quality governance system. So do you have any recommendations that you would like to have here so that, people can think of how they can prepare to upgrade their quality management system to make it a intelligent quality governance system? Jason.
Yeah, so the beauty about Sealights is that we are not limited to old systems or new systems. The integration of Sealights is alongside whatever system you have. Our agents will be connected to your pipeline, to the various steps that are running. So one recommendation of that transition is actually to use a tool like Sealights to monitor that transition. Because if you've got your environment set up today, you're testing to a certain degree. First of all, we will provide that initial visibility of really the quality that you currently have. Now, as you transition over to the new environment that you have, you want to make sure, one, that you're maintaining at least the same quality before you shut down the previous one, but you also want to see the improvement. And therefore, while you're moving over to the new pipelines and the new tools and the new environments and so on, when you integrate in Sealights, you will get a clear picture of what's going on. You'll be able to compare the old one to the new one and make sure the new one is as good and is improving over the older environment.
Got it. Thank you so much for that. That was insightful. And coming to using your platform, like do you have any evaluation version or trial licensing mechanism where people can go and start evaluating to see how Sealights can help them?
So what we usually do is that we set up a demo session to show them, what's going on, how Sealights looks and captures data. For actually onboarding, doing like a POC and stuff like that is something that will be aligned and checked with our sales, what can be provided and how can be provided when the time comes that you want to start working with Sealights.
Got it. All right. So you take it case to case basis. You can partner with your potential customers and look at their current process that they have and proceed from there by doing a POC and take it from there.
Yeah, so it will depend on the various customer and the use case and how we progress with them. All
right, that sounds good. All right, so let me go back to Scott again. So Scott, you are a senior person, in the industry. So I would like to hear from you. We are going through the COVID-19 pandemic, and things are changing. Things are also getting impacted. If we look at industries like travel, aviation, or anything related to travel, that industry has been hit very badly by COVID-19 pandemic, and people are leaning more on automation. So, I have also seen enterprises who have invested on automation heavily. I think they are really seeing the benefits, right, during this COVID-19 from sustainability perspective by bringing some additional savings and things like that. Apart from that, what you see, the changes, in the market or industry today due to this environmental, impact by COVID-19 pandemic. Any change that you would like to share here in this on this platform?
Yeah, it's a good question, right? I think, hopefully it seems like we're moving out of COVID a little bit, right? But, I think what we're seeing more and more today, right, is organizations who used to have more manual type testing, right, are starting to shift that into more of an automation work, right? Because I think during COVID, right, you had people with layoffs, you had all kinds of different stuff, right? And everyone knows today that manual testing is expensive, right? It's expensive, it's time consuming. And so what we've seen with a lot of our customers today is they're starting to move and move a lot of their stuff from that manual type work to more of an automation, because ultimately they're able to save time, they're able to save manpower, right? They're able to reduce the amount of people that they actually have doing tests on their manual pieces, right? And so a lot of our customers that we have today are either using us for trying to reduce the costs that they have on their manual side, because they want to be able to understand and have their manual testers testing the most accurate stuff. But again, I think that's the biggest piece that we're seeing during COVID is as people have tried to reduce costs, right, and what they're spending, whether it's just tooling cost or just individual people, right? A lot of people are making big shifts to automation.
Okay, people are making more big move to automation. Okay, that's a great insight, Scott. Thank you. And with that, I will go back to Jason again. So integrating this platform with different data sources, right? The quality data that is coming, the quality related data, the metrics and other data that you are collecting from different sources, how that is integrated to this platform? Like you have to work with that, organization's admin team to point to their databases or some spreadsheets, or, it could be any data source, right?
Yeah, so Sealights captures data through our agents. We've got our own developed agents, which will integrate with your systems. So we currently have agents for Java, for JavaScript, whether it's JavaScript running as like a Node application on the back end, or JavaScript on the client side, .NET and Python. And those agents are the ones that will be capturing the data. We have plugins that will help you integrate them, making the integration fairly simple. Like when you're building your Java with Maven or Gradle, we've got plugins for those tools, very easy to integrate in and get things up and running, reporting to us. When it comes to capturing the coverage itself, any environment that you have a component that you want to capture coverage from, so like those 30 microservices that we have, each one of those will have our agent coming up and performing the instrumentation in memory on the server itself. And that can be one server, can be multiple servers, can be Docker containers, virtual machines, whether it's on-prem or in the cloud. Our agent will come up, instrument the code, be ready to capture coverage. Now, when you run your tests, once again, we have a test listener agent that will integrate in with that. Again, using plugins, for instance, like Maven and Gradle again, and we will capture the tests that are running. Sealights knows now to take all the data from those various data points, link them all together in order to provide you the quality metrics and all the insights and savings that I've shown you on our dashboard.
Got it. And when we completely migrate to your platform to use your platform as the quality governance platform for my organization or for any enterprise, so is there any kind of training involved for our QA professionals or anyone part of our development or application development teams? Do they need to have any training on this platform, or how the normal learning curve looks like?
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, our customer success team will be helping out with all the needs to get a customer up and running and getting the value from Sealights as quickly as possible. Each different team member, each different role will need a different type of training. So the technical teams will get the training of how to integrate Sealights, where to integrate. Our solution architects will help you decide and understand where to integrate and at what points to put the various stuff. We'll then provide you documentation and training on getting things up and running, actually working with you to do it on the first applications and components till you feel that you're ready to handle that on your own. For the teams that are actually using the data, our customer success managers will be working with them to understand the value being received from Sealights, to understand the data on the dashboard, how that links back to your testing cycles and your data, how to improve, how to use the data and progress in your quality.
Beautiful. All right, so I think that's pretty much from my side. Jason, Scott, and Bart, thank you so much. That was very informative, and I'm sure our followers and listeners will find it very meaningful and insightful as well, in terms of how to migrate from the old conventional quality management system to make it more cognitive quality governance platform to identify the risks and continuously improve the process and have better products with the customers. So that was a great showcase today. So Jason, Scott, thank you again. Thanks for coming in and showcasing Sealights.